What is up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about the master bus, what I do on the master bus. There's so many conflicting things you can do on the master bus. Should you put EQ on it? Should you not? Should you put a compressor on it? Should you not? I'm going to dig into what I do. What I do is not what you should do, or look at what everybody does. But real quick, down below is the 5-part framework to getting professional live sounding worship recordings. Pick that up. It's absolutely free. Just link down below. All right, let's dig into it. So I like to actually, this is gonna be kind of weird. I like to actually keep compression off my master bus, which probably throws some people off, but I actually like to use bus compression. So if you look here, I have 3 buses right here. And I like to actually put compressors on these buses here. So I've got a compressor on all the instruments. So we'll, solo the drums here. And I got a drum bus compressor and a clipper going. So it's being compressed quite a bit. And then I've got a compressor on all the instruments. Just gluing all those together, and then of course you got all the vocals, which in this case there's actually only one vocal.
So wonderful, so beautiful,
so you get it. Also, my computer's spiking. Let me see if I can fix that real quick. You just get too many plugins. Too many plugins. Anyways, okay. So yeah, that's where I actually put all the compression there. That's where I like it. That's where I think it sounds better. That's not to say that I don't, and at some mixes I don't put a compressor on the master bus here. But here's what I do on the master bus, and this is like my whole mix. Right here, everything goes into this one bus, and then this bus gets sent to my master over here to the right, which we'll dig into in a second. So first and foremost, I put Gullfoss on, which feels like cheating, to be honest, but if you guys are able to pick up this plugin, it's just great. So I'm gonna shut it off and turn it back on. Actually, this gain needs to come back up. I don't know why I had it like that. Maybe I need to pull these down. Couple dB. Let's do that. Okay. Anyways, Gullfoss here. So you know what? Let's just take all these off. We're gonna do one at a time. So Gullfoss is this magic juju plugin where it finds resonances either within a single track or a bus or the entire mix. I use it on the entire mix. I use it very sparingly. So we put the recover and the tame at 20%. So it's going to add and take away. It's going to take away some of those resonances and also add stuff that it thinks it needs. And then I have this brighten at 2%. Sometimes I have it at like 0, or sometimes I have it like 20%. Just depends. So let's give this a listen.
so kind and lovely, isn't he? Beyond compare, treasure rich and rare, marvelous and holy.
So it's doing quite a bit. It sounds awesome literally every time. Like no matter what kind of mix I'm doing, it sounds awesome. So super simple. If you guys can pick that plugin up, it'll change your life. It feels like cheating. It just feels like cheating. Feels like you have to EQ less, which is great. Next, I have a tape machine. I really like Slate's virtual tape machine. I think it just sounds great. I love how the low end sounds. But one word of knowledge is that it will sometimes add low end. So sometimes you can go here to the settings and take away that bass alignment. But we'll just give it a listen. Looks like I didn't this time. So let's just give this a listen. Bypass.
Faithfulness, yeah, oh, so wonderful, so beautiful, so kind and lovely, isn't he? Beyond compare, treasure rich and rare.
So I don't know what you guys are hearing on your end, if you're using good headphones or monitors or whatever. This tape machine, there's something about it that helps my toms basically stick out of the mix, and see, like pretty much all the drums. There's something about that low mid that tape machines do for you. I just mess with all these settings, so I usually keep the bias on normal, but The tape type, I just flip between these two. I flip between the 16 track, or sorry, the 2 inch and the half inch, and then the 30 ips or the 15 ips. 15 ips will give you more low end. That's a pro tip. And then these are they just sound a little bit different. Just whatever your mix needs. And then you want your meter to sit around 0. And so you don't want it pinning 3, but you don't really want it down here either, because then it's just not saturating very well. And if it's not saturating very well, then it's not doing its job, and you won't really hear the difference. So yeah, try to make it, somewhere in this area where, like, the snare and the kick hits are kind of hitting in this red area.
Isn't he so wonderful?
And yeah, pretty simple again. Really not much to it. Next, I like to use an imager. I like the Ozone 10 imager because you can get this multi-band imager. I just use this. I don't really do very much with the widening on the master, because again, with the master, you don't want to do too much. You don't want to overdo it, because then you might find like you can't EQ something very well. You can't get the right thing out of it. It's because you've done too much on the master. So, or like, I don't want to make everything wide in that stereo, like super wide in that stereo spectrum. So I would rather go to the keys itself or the guitar itself and add a lot of width if I need to be wider. But this is fairly simple. So you have basically a 4-band stereo widener, and I actually have it around here is about 110. I'm pulling out some of that wideness because you want that low end down the middle, and then as it gradually goes up from 110 to 2.5, I've got it at 8, which is probably not even really noticeable, and then from 2.5 to it looks about 10K, we got it about 16 here, and then then we have it much higher at the 10K to 20K range at the 29 percentile. So I'm just gonna toggle this on and off just like I did with the other ones. So super simple. There's actually a really good preset in here that I used to use all the time. It's this modern width. This one is freaking awesome. So it pulls out a ton of the low end here, and then it's very similar to what I had before. But yeah, it's very, very cool. Oh. Did I just here? At least I have my template. There we go. Okay. So yeah, pretty simple. We're really just wanting to add more width to the mix, but you're not wanting to overdo it, like we said before. And then last but not least on this mix, I use a couple of EQs. And so just note here, this is the Abbey Road mastering chain from Waves. Very, very cool plugin. Sounds awesome. I'm only using the EQ section and more so the top and the bottom. So as you can see here, like this part is turned off. The limiter, the input, the limiter, and the filter are all turned off. Not doing anything with the spreader here. We've already worked on that. So I'm just using this EQ because I think it sounds freaking awesome. Very, very simple. I just have this at 16K and I'm boosting by a couple dB here, not even 2 dB. And then I have it at 45 here and I'm boosting at 1 dB. And so this is really just going to bring some more clarity and girth to the mix, like more low end, more of the kick hits and the lower snare, the lower bass hits and stuff. So it's really, really simple. So again, toggle it on and off. It's very, very subtle, but if you listen close enough to the snare, the top of the vocal and the kick hits and everything. It just adds some clarity, and it's very very subtle. And then last, I actually use this EQ on literally every mix. There are times I actually don't even boost anything. There's something interesting about these. Pultec EQs that you just kind of all the emulations or a lot of the emulations, if you just stick it on your mix and don't even touch it, it adds some type of thing. I don't know, just analog goodness, but it's not analog, so like that's not the right word. But anyways, what I do, it's basically the same thing as what I did on the Abbey Road, which is funny. It changes. It's not always the same. You have to change what you're doing per mix because every mix isn't going to be the same. You have to make adjustments. So that's kind of funny. I kind of doubled it, but anyways, so we're at 20 hertz. At the boost is at 2, not even, somewhere around there, and then we have it at 16K and the boost is at 1.3. So again, we're not doing very much on the EQ itself because you don't want to do it. You don't want to overdo it on the mastering or on the master channel, because it can just get you in a world of hurt. You'll be mixing down the line. You'll be like, why is everything so bright? It's because you had this boost at like 6 or something, and you shouldn't have. You should just very, very small. But I do like to put these on early on and kind of mix through them rather than put them on later. That's my kind of go-to, almost like a top-down mixing type of method, but not completely top-down mixing. Again, it just adds like a nice lift to everything, brings out some more clarity, kind of separates some of the instruments. And so with all of these plugins here that are adding or subtracting some EQ or adding some saturation, we're going to take them off and turn it back on. And it's good. It's a world of difference. Just, these 5 plugins, 6 plugins, 5. That they're all doing very little on their own. It's kind of subtle on each one, but once you add it all up, you're like, wow, that's a big deal. So let's turn them off.
So beautiful, so kind and lovely, isn't he? Beyond compare, treasure-rich and rare, marvelous and holy, isn't he?
It's crazy how much her vocal just came out in front and just kind of had that like authority of like a lot of presence, a lot of authority in the mix, which is what you want. You want your vocal to have a lot of presence and authority. And then, yeah, like I said, I don't do any compression, but I do some limiting. So if you come to my master here, which is where I keep the limiters, I just have a Pro L2, an L2 from Waves, and then I have a Pro L2. But the L2 from Waves, I mean, there's not very much you can change here. I have the out ceiling at -0.1. I just pull this down until it feels right with the mix, and I'm getting a little of gain reduction.
Isn't he so wonderful, so beautiful?
And then after that, I use the Pro L2 to get a little bit more precise on limiting. But in all honesty, the only reason I really have this on here is just to make sure it doesn't clip, and to get it loud enough for maybe the client to hear it, to approve of the mix, or if they have any revisions or anything, because I would much rather send this off to a mastering engineer than do this myself, or do the mastering myself at a later time. But this is like I'm not even adding gain on this one right now because I don't need to. It's -0.1, -0.2 sometimes. It's really just kind of tapering off those hits that kind of get a little loud, and sometimes stick out a little bit too much. It's almost like stacking your limiters like that will sometimes work as if it is compressing, but in a much a much harder manner where it's like that snare hit's not going to go over this loudness, if that makes sense. So yeah, that is it for the master bus. That's what I do. Again, I know it's probably weird that I don't do any compression on the master bus, but I would much rather compress things as groups because it makes more sense to me that way. For whatever reason. Now you guys can disagree with me. Tell me below what you guys put on your mastering bus or what you liked. Like, which plugin were you blown away by? We're like, oh wow, that made such a huge difference. And then again, down below, put give me some ideas for more videos. I would absolutely love to keep doing these for you guys. And I'm releasing a new video every Tuesday. And then last but not least, do not forget, in the description below is the 5-part framework to getting professional sounding live recordings, specifically worship recordings. And last but not least, I think I've said that like 4 times now. Don't forget that God made us for a purpose. And if you're here watching this video right now, then that means God either made you a musician, or he made you a music producer, or he made you whatever, like audio engineer, whatever. And you're here now because you want to learn how to do this, and you want to take it even further than you have before. And he wants that too. Like he wants his name spread. And in a day and age where there's so much music being released, it's almost our responsibility to make sure that more of this live worship, these intimate moments that are happening within our churches, within our communities, is getting released to the world so that people can see who Jesus really is. And yeah, that's it. See you in the next video.